General Motors is on the verge of losing nearly a century's worth of hard-earned achievements. GM's United Auto Workers, UAW, have initiated multiple strikes, leading one of the world's largest car manufacturers to incur losses of $21 million per day during each strike. Regrettably, General Motors has not fulfilled its commitment to produce affordable electric vehicles, like the Equinox EV priced at $30,000. Additionally, the production of the Chevy Silverado pickup EV is still 2 years away. Adding to their woes, over 40,000 Chevy Silverado trucks have been recalled due to brake pressure issues. What's even more concerning is that, unlike Tesla, General Motors has acknowledged they might not be able to generate profits from the production of electric vehicles for the next decade. Let's delve into the origins of this situation and explore General Motors' strategy for addressing their own past missteps. GM CEO Mary Barra expressed her deep frustration and disappointment regarding the current strike situation.
We've had over 1,000 demands. I'm extremely frustrated and disappointed. We don't need to be on strike right now. We put a historic offer on the table.
She firmly believes that General Motors has presented one of the most competitive offers in the industry's history. As mentioned in the video's introduction, the employees at General Motors manufacturing plants have gone on strike due to their belief that their current compensation is insufficient to sustain their livelihoods. From one perspective, there is a valid argument that supports the claims made by General Motors' United Auto Workers. Many people find it nearly impossible for these workers to afford a vehicle from General Motors with their current earnings. However, GM remains steadfast in their belief that the offer they have extended to their workforce is sufficient to bring them back to work. This comprehensive offer includes a significant pay increase, with the majority of workers expected to earn $40.39 per hour, amounting to approximately $84,000 annually, should the union accept the agreement. GM has also committed to maintaining its provision of world-class healthcare, offering seniority team members health coverage with no out-of-pocket premiums or deductibles. General Motors has put forth an offer that appears to be a significant pay raise for their workers, but the union remains convinced that there is more to be gained. What's occurring at present is something these three major automakers never anticipated. The president of the United Auto Workers, Shawn Fain, has confirmed that while wages, salaries, and other benefits have already been increased during the strike, he believes the UAW union could secure additional advantages if the contract negotiations are protracted. The longer the strike persists, the greater the financial losses for automakers, and it may have additional detrimental effects on vehicle production, leading to scarcity and other challenges. In a Facebook Live report featuring UAW President Shawn Fain, specific details were not provided regarding which additional manufacturing plants, from companies such as Stellantis, General Motors, and Ford, will be included to extend the strike. The objective is to exert more pressure on these three automakers to elicit further concessions. Due to the prolonged strike, the president mentioned that both Stellantis and General Motors have offered increased wages, mirroring Ford's proposal of a 23% raise over the course of a 4-year contract. He further stated, "We've got cards to play, and they've got money left to spend." The UAW president is suggesting that by prolonging the strike, the companies will incur higher costs and greater losses. The union's actions toward Ford have presented a significant challenge to the automaker. "We took their biggest plant, and they haven't come back with anything new," the UAW pointed out. Ford is being accused of pretending to be unable to meet their demands, while they express frustration about having to suspend operations at one of their largest facilities, the Kentucky truck plant in Louisville. The UAW president's final request remains somewhat unclear. Some union workers have decided to accept the current offers from their respective companies. However, Shawn Fain argued that by doing so, the union would become divided, and only a few would benefit from the favorable terms that the workers should have been enjoying for the past 2 years. Initially, Fain may have been setting a trap for the automakers, unbeknownst to them. During the strike, each time an offer was presented, he suggested that it wasn't the best they could do, only to return a few days later with an improved offer compared to the previous one. Fain's statement, "What that should tell you," suggests that there is still room for negotiation and further improvement in the offers. Ford executives have issued a dire warning that a protracted strike could not only impact Ford, but also result in 500,000 workers at suppliers losing their jobs. Since the strike commenced, the United States economy has experienced a significant cost, with estimates indicating a price of $4 billion as reported by the Michigan economic consulting firm Anderson Economic Group. Just in the month of September, Stellantis was compelled to cut 370 jobs, while Ford had to reduce its workforce by 600 employees due to the strike, focusing on cost-cutting measures, as stated by Forbes. The situation is growing increasingly dire day by day. On October 23, the United Auto Workers announced that an additional 6,800 workers had joined the strike at Stellantis' Sterling Heights assembly plant, which is responsible for producing the Ram 1500 trucks. This development means that the UAW now commands a force of over 40,000 striking workers spanning Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, the parent company of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. The strike appears to be gaining more traction with each passing day, and it's having ripple effects across the automotive landscape. General Motors has made a surprising announcement concerning their Silverado electric pickup truck. Some of the truck's production has been pushed back to 2025, with GM citing this decision as a capital management strategy and a response to the evolving demand for electric vehicles. Importantly, this decision is not directly connected to the ongoing United Auto Workers strike. On the contrary, Ford finds itself in a contrasting situation compared to General Motors. At Ford, 700 workers responsible for producing the F-150 Lightning truck were temporarily laid off due to supply chain issues and the complexities of processing and delivering vehicles following the restart of production in August. Furthermore, Ford reported a 45% year-on-year decline in sales of the Lightning truck in the third quarter. However, the company anticipates a sales rebound in the final quarter of the year as production capacity at the factory increases. Ford remains optimistic about the overall demand for its electric vehicle lineup, emphasizing that demand remains strong. Despite being the Big Three's leader in terms of revenue, profitability, and financial reserves, Stellantis has fallen short of meeting the union's demands with its latest offer, particularly concerning issues like temporary worker compensation and cost of living adjustments, as noted by the union. Stellantis has not publicly disclosed its most recent contract proposal, but based on the union's assessment, the latest offer does not include profit sharing for temporary workers and lacks a cost of living raise in the initial year of the contract. According to the UAW, the current Stellantis proposal also requires employees to spend 4 years reaching the top pay rate, whereas Ford and GM's proposals offer top pay rates within 3 years. For weeks, UAW leaders and manufacturers have been engaged in negotiations to establish a new 4-year labor agreement. However, the ongoing Stellantis strike suggests that there is still a considerable gap between the positions of union leadership and corporate officials, indicating that they are far from reaching a consensus. The 3 largest corporations globally raked in a combined $21 billion in total profits in just the first 6 months of this year. Yet all of them continue to resist settling contracts that would provide workers with a fair share of the record profits they've generated, stated the United Automobile Workers in a statement issued on Monday. Furthermore, there's more to this story. A recall has been issued for over 40,428 Chevy Silverado trucks due to a brake pressure sensor system that could potentially result in brake fluid leakage, posing a risk of a short circuit. This heightened risk increases the potential for a fire, whether the truck is in operation or parked. General Motors is strongly recommending that owners of potentially affected Silverado trucks park their vehicles outdoors, away from structures, until the necessary recall repairs have been completed. It's worth noting that while there have been many false claims insinuating that electric vehicles are inherently prone to fires, they tend to overlook the fact that internal combustion engine vehicles also rely on numerous flammable chemicals to function. Apart from the strike and recall, GM also faced loss from another part of their business. Cruise, General Motors' autonomous vehicle subsidiary, has made a significant move by deploying a small fleet of driverless robotaxis in San Francisco during daylight hours. This development coincides with Cruise's ongoing financial losses, as it reported a loss of $561 million in the first quarter of 2023. General Motors defended these losses, stating they were in line with expectations as the company expanded its operations to 15 cities. It's important to note that GM's Cruise generated only $30 million in revenue, and a majority of that income came from sources like interest and other non-operational channels. Cruise, which operates robotaxis in San Francisco, Phoenix, and Austin, asserts that it is on track to achieve revenues of $1 billion by 2025 and a substantial $50 billion by 2030. Contrary to popular belief, the strike is poised to impact not only these major three automakers, but also the livelihoods of UAW workers.